I still remember the exact moment my stomach dropped, even though at the time I had no idea why. I was sitting comfortably in my seat on a flight from Chicago to Los Angeles, scrolling through my phone while passengers continued boarding around me. It was supposed to be a routine trip, nothing special. The cabin was filled with the usual sounds, overhead bins slamming shut, people chatting, flight attendants helping passengers find their seats. I had even texted a friend telling him I'd see him in a few hours. Then everything changed. A flight attendant suddenly stopped beside me. At first, I barely noticed her, but when I looked up, I realized something was wrong. Her face was pale, and her expression wasn't the friendly smile airline staff usually wear. She leaned down and whispered, "Sir, you need to come with me immediately." I laughed nervously and asked if there had been some mistake. Instead of answering, she glanced over her shoulder and repeated herself, this time more urgently. "Please stand up right now." Her hands were trembling. That's when a strange feeling hit me. I asked what was going on, but she refused to explain. The passengers around me had started watching. Embarrassed and confused, I grabbed my backpack and followed her. As we walked down the aisle, I could feel dozens of eyes fixed on me. Some people looked concerned, while others looked suspicious, as if they assumed I had done something wrong. My heart was pounding. Had there been a problem with my ticket? Was there an issue with airport security? Had someone stolen my identity? 100 possibilities raced through my mind, but none of them made sense. The moment I stepped off the aircraft, the flight attendant practically rushed me into the terminal. Before I could ask another question, the aircraft door closed behind me. I stood at the gate feeling completely lost. The flight attendant disappeared almost immediately, and every airport employee I spoke to seemed unwilling to tell me anything. They simply assured me that I would be placed on another flight and asked me to wait. Their calm but secretive behavior only made me more anxious. I kept replaying the scene in my head, wondering what had just happened. For nearly 20 minutes, nothing seemed unusual. Passengers continued moving through the terminal, announcements echoed overhead, and airport life carried on as normal. Then suddenly I noticed people staring at their phones. A small crowd gathered near the gate windows. Airport personnel began moving quickly through the area, speaking into radios. When I looked toward the runway, I saw emergency vehicles approaching the plane I had just left. At first I thought it might be a medical emergency involving another passenger, but then more vehicles arrived. The atmosphere changed instantly. Conversations became whispers. People exchanged nervous looks. Airport staff started blocking certain areas from public access. A notification soon appeared on the departure screen stating that the flight had been delayed due to an urgent safety inspection. That simple message raised more questions than it answered. I watched from a distance as technicians and security personnel surrounded the aircraft. The realization slowly began sinking in. Whatever had caused me to be removed from that plane was serious enough to trigger a major emergency response. My confusion was gradually being replaced by fear. Hours later, I finally boarded a different flight, but my mind never left that gate. I tried repeatedly to get answers, yet nobody would tell me exactly why I had been singled out and removed. Even after arriving in Los Angeles, I continued searching for information online, hoping to understand what had happened. News reports mentioned a potential safety concern involving the aircraft, but details were limited and often contradictory. Some sources suggested a technical issue, while others hinted at a security-related problem. None of them explained why a flight attendant had personally come for me with such urgency. The mystery followed me for weeks. Every time I thought about it, I remembered the fear in her eyes and the way her voice shook when she told me to leave. It didn't feel like a routine airline procedure. It felt personal, as though she knew something terrible might happen if I stayed in that seat. To this day, I still don't know the full truth. Maybe I never will. What I do know is that a complete stranger insisted that I get off that plane, and shortly afterward an emergency unfolded around the very aircraft I was supposed to be flying on. Whenever people ask me about the luckiest day of my life, I don't talk about winning anything or achieving a goal. I tell them about the day a frightened flight attendant quietly pulled me away from a situation I didn't understand.